All right, welcome back to another episode of Lounge 11 with Femi and Samco. My name is Femi. I'm here with my co-host, Samco. We'd love to talk football here. How's your week going, Samco?
It's been good, man. Busy, a lot of moving around, but can't complain, to be honest, man. It's been a good week so far. Can't complain. How's it been going for you?
Pretty much the same. Well, I haven't been moving around. I've been here in LA, but definitely been active, tired, man. But
Yeah.
thank God the week is coming to an end. This is one that I think, like I was saying, your your fans, the streets want to hear from you. Just
uh,
given the week that or the last game result that we had. So I think we'll probably just jump right into that and
yeah.
discuss the elephant in the room. So last week Arsenal played against Man City. We were away to Man City at the Etihad, and
Mhm.
it was a big one, number 1 and 2 at the time. Well, number 1 or 2, either way. And a lot was riding on that, and people obviously had a lot of these expectations that if Arsenal are to win this title, they should go deliver the knockout blow to Man
Mhm.
City, but that didn't happen. I know I spoke to you just before when the lineups came out, just before the start of the game, and we were both comfortable with the lineup. If I remember, I don't think there was
Yeah.
anybody that was, yeah. So I'll let you kind of dive into that, right? Like the game, did it pan out as you would expect? Were
Yeah.
the lineup changes that you saw, did they surprise you? Is there anything you would have changed?
No, the lineup changes didn't surprise me. Like you said, we spoke about it before the game started, and we're very comfortable with it. We already called the likes of Kai starting. I was actually more impressed with this for the fact that he chose more technical players for this game because I felt those were the kind of players we needed to play against Man City for this particular game. The only concern you and I both had, if I remember from that call, was Mosquera going up against Doku. Like, how was that matchup going to be? And stuff like that. But outside that, I was very okay with the lineup. Like even that of Mosquera, you can understand Ben White hasn't had the best games recently, so trying something new was something I wasn't surprised about. But when you dive in deeper into the game, it was one of those games where, for me, the result was what was more disappointing for me than the performance. I've said it in the last few weeks that I'm not really looking into performances now. I just needed the result. And again, back to back games we've lost, and my disappointment still falls back to the result, right? Because if you look at the performance, to be honest, there's not much people can critique about it, but it depends on what you're looking for, what you were expecting, right? I think in terms of the substitution that he made, the only place I could fault him was I expected Eze to finish the game a little bit much or play much time in that game. I think he took him out just when Eze was getting into the groove of the game and all that. But I think what took the game away from us were moments. And when you have a striker like Haaland, and you see he was literally quiet throughout the game, and you see just that one moment he gets and he puts it behind the net. And then you look at the chances that we had. We had about two with Kai Havertz, if I remember correctly. And I think there was one other chance with Gabriel through a set piece or a free kick. And we definitely didn't eat our dinner. Those were the differences within that game. A lot of if I think you remember last weekend or sorry, our last episode, I said a lot of people have built up this match to be more than what it is for me, in my own opinion, right? Everybody says, oh, you go there and you seal the title. And that wasn't my opinion. You still have 5 games to go, or should I say 6 games to go at the time the game was done. Because again, there's a certain type of narrative the media and a lot of fans put out there where they try to make things be much more than they are. And I just don't see it that way. I've been watching the Premier League for over 20, 25 years now. And we have seen so many dramatic turns and so many things happen in the Premier League. Very, very disappointing result. But did it change my perspective on how I think the season was going to finish? No. Do I understand where fans are coming from? The ones that are feeling extremely down or have lost all hope? Yes, I totally understand. But maybe because I don't want to say prepared my mind, I had seen that we could definitely draw points. Like I said it before, both teams are going to draw points towards the end of the season. That's why it's called squeaking bump time for a reason. And the 9 points that we had, I was expecting us to use those cushion in a much better way than we have used in our last 2 games, because I thought we had a margin of about 5 points that we could drop between before the Bournemouth game and the end of the season. And unfortunately for us, we've dropped 6, right? So that was my take from the game. 2 losses and a bounce in the league. I think we've lost what, 4 out of our 6 matches. But I don't believe this is the time for people to put their head down or anything. Like I said, after the game, me and you spoke, and I said to myself, I said, this team got here on merit, right? We didn't stumble to be in this position where we find ourselves. And when you have 5 more games left as we record this pod right now, I'm not the type to just give up and throw in the towel and say all hope is lost. I still believe we do it. I still believe we get it over the line. So yeah, that's just my own personal opinion. I can't be speaking for any other person or how people want to take that defeat for them. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have anything to add to that. There is plenty to play for. I think, for the Arsenal faithful, I could understand those that are feeling a type of way. It looks all too
Yeah.
familiar. We've been here before in terms of not getting the job done. And I
Yeah.
could understand that. So, but I do think that, this is a very different league, and both of these teams still have a lot to play for. There's
Yeah.
15 points on the table, right? At least for
Yeah.
Arsenal,
For both
yeah,
teams now.
for both
Both
teams,
teams,
yeah, for
15
both of the
points. Yeah.
teams. There's 15 points. Well, yeah, there's 15 points on the table, right?
Mm.
At this point, and that is a lot, right? Because both of these teams are level on point, level on goal difference. A lot can change between now and the end of the season.
Mm.
So I'm not
Yeah.
even really losing sleep over that. I think, in a weird way, I think I was actually very impressed with the way we approached the game going away to the
Yeah.
Etihad. A lot of bravery in how we played. I know a lot of people would have expected us to go and they call it haram ball, sit down there and just, soak up the counter or whatever. But,
Yeah.
I thought we played really well. I'm also really happy to see that we experimented. I don't know if we want to call it an experiment, but we saw a starting lineup that, quite frankly, we haven't seen. I don't think
We've
we've
been
seen it
calling.
ever,
We've been calling for those guys
right?
to especially start
So
together for a long time. Yeah.
Eze playing essentially as an auxiliary midfielder
Mm.
off the left,
Of the left. Yeah.
Odegaard kind of leading the press and helping with the build up. And Kai allowing the ball to stick a little bit more when we went long. I can only just imagine what that would be when you complement that with Saka coming into the picture if and when he's able to.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot to take away from there and feel confident about the running. Obviously, you came up with a really good side that can punish you around the margins in Manchester City, because that's what it looked
Yeah.
like it came down to.
Mm.
One bounce here or there, we're talking about a totally different game. If Kai Havertz scores that or whatever the case might be. So I think for the Premier League, you saw two evenly matched teams, and one came out on top. And now we're in the race to, see who can get the most out of the remaining 5 games. And so
Yeah.
um, I'm feeling relaxed about it.
Yeah, same way for me. Like I still feel relaxed about it. Is there concerns? Yes, but the concerns are coming from, like you said, what we've seen before, right? I think that's where the concerns are coming from for most people. But at the same time, I can come out and tell you that I've seen league titles won basically in the 93rd minute of the season. Like the very last moment of the season, I've seen titles being won. So if you're throwing me 5 games with same points, goal difference, same amount of games to go. Why would I give up now? Like, I don't think all the hard work that this team and manager have put into it, I just put it down and say, oh, just because it's Man City, that the job cannot be done. Again, like I keep saying, I still believe the job can be done. Now it's just about who blinks twice. It's like having a penalty shootout, 5 penalties to go. That's literally where we find ourselves right now. And yes, man, the guys just have to put their heads up and go to the very end. There's a reason you're here. Believe in what you've done so far, and just try and be better than you've been in the last few weeks or the last few games. So yeah, that's how I've seen it basically, and that's the same way I'm going to keep seeing it till the season is done. There's so much to play for. I think that's the way I see it. There's so much to play for me to put my head down now and say it's over. Yeah.
Agreed. Before we move on from that game, there were lots of talking points that I wanted us to get through.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them was, you know, Gabriel and Haaland got into their
Yeah.
usual fisticuffs, if you want to call it that, right? And
Yeah.
there is suggestions that he should have been sent off for the
Hmm.
headbutt.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I think he was lucky to get away with that. But wanted to get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, same thing for me. I think he was lucky to get away with that because if Haaland, for example, had decided to play into that and like fall on the ground or scream or do something, we will not be out here faulting the ref for giving him a red card and everything. So I think Gabriel was definitely lucky. I hope he learns from that because he's one of those players who used to be very emotional for us. And if there's one thing I've given us this season is I've seen emotional maturity in the way we play games. A lot of people don't understand. We don't even have a red card this season. Like one.
Yeah, that was
We
as
don't have
close
a
as you could get.
yeah, exactly. That's as close as it could get. So again, we need to be focused on everything. I understand him and Haaland are always going to have their moments in games, but you got to keep your eyes focused and keep your eye on the prize. So he was definitely a lucky boy to not get sent off for that. But yeah.
Yeah, staying with Haaland and Gabriel, you
Mm,
did see the goal that Haaland scored, and there
mm.
are indications that maybe it should have been disallowed because of a pull or whatever on Gabriel. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw
What did
it.
you?
It's funny. I saw it while the goal happened. And I was a little bit shocked that there was really no review on that. But then again, if you look at the replay, Gabriel didn't really complain. So I think there was also that played into it. He didn't really complain like he was being fouled or he was being pulled or anything. So if a VAR call had gone into it, I will understand it. But at the same time, again, it wasn't called, it wasn't looked at. I want to say that as a heel, I'm willing to die on in terms of that goal. Do I believe it was a foul? Yes, I believe it was a foul because if you could see, Gabriel was ahead of him and he literally pulled him backwards to get to the ball first and all. But it could have gone either way, and yeah, it was okay for me.
I thought it was a foul, and
Yeah,
probably by the letter of the law should have been disallowed. But
mm.
I think once precedence is set, both of those guys, I said on our banter call on Sunday, you kind of enjoy it if you're neutral,
Yeah.
like they're just going
They
at
will
it,
always
right?
go at each other. Yeah,
And they've been going at it all game. We've seen the scenes of Gabriel tearing Haaland's shirt, and
yeah,
so if you live by the sword, you likely
you
die
die
by
by
it as well.
it.
So
Yeah,
if you're gonna keep pulling at his shirt and get away with it as much as you do, when Haaland does it, you can't really
you got to
put your
take it.
hands up and complain. You gotta
Yeah.
also take it. So because of that, same thing for me. It's not a hill
Mhm.
that I'm willing to die on, but yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And then I think the final one that I had was the Havertz threw on goal, and it's a cushion off,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Tripped
Kuzinov.
him.
Yeah, yeah. That was
To be
another
honest,
funny
when I
one.
first saw it, I didn't actually make. Well, I wasn't
Nah,
sure because it felt soft. But what did
nah.
you think of?
It was a foul. It was literally a
No, I
foul.
know. When I
Yeah,
saw it the
but then
first
again,
time, I thought,
oh, when I
yeah,
saw it again, I also felt it was a foul, but it was quite shocking the way the ref waved it off
right.
because the last mine wasn't too far off and the ref wasn't too far off and they just waved it off. But the only thing I told myself was, again, this is one of those situations where when you compare it to Europe, it's a little different. It's like that's the kind of stuff that I can see the ref calling out in Europe. And then in England, it won't be called. Just the same way you see like the handball and all. But it was quite strange for me because that was like he was ahead of Kusanov. It's true on goal. There was impact or there was contact. And he fouled him on his thigh. So I didn't understand. I can't even remember. Did I go to VR? I don't think it did.
I don't remember
I
either,
don't think
but
he did.
I
Yeah, I
just
don't think he
remember it
did.
being like, "What? Really? Like, so
Yeah.
how did the guy
It
fall?
was so
How did he
quick the way
fall?"
the ref just
Yeah,
waved it
yeah,
off, and it's like, so how do you think he felt? Like, you think it was a shootout? It wasn't a shootout to shoulder thing. Kai Havertz was
yeah.
clearly ahead of him and all that, but yeah, a lot of the times with, I mean, you already know how I feel when it comes to VAR and the ref. So a lot of the times I don't go back to those calls like I used to anymore. Before I'll be much more irritated, but there's nothing they can really do to surprise me. And in any situation I see, I just try and say, okay, this is why that decision was made, I guess. Like I said, I'm just telling myself now that maybe it's one of those situations where in England it's saying differently than it's saying in Europe. Why I felt it was a foul. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that just indicates that, the margins around which these games are decided can be very,
Decided.
very small,
Hmm.
so all in all, I think it's credit to Man City. They were the ones chasing. They had to win, and they did,
Yeah.
to keep it close and keep it more intriguing for the neutral. So they've done just that, and now we have like you called it, a 5 game shootout, and then
Mm.
we'll see where we go from there. I don't know if I have anything else on the City Arsenal game that we haven't touched on, but I don't know if you do before we move on.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it for me. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll look around to the rest of the league. I think the other interesting one was, there are two actually that was of interest to me.
Mm.
Um, well, actually more than two. Spurs and Brighton.
Yeah, that was actually a
Spurs and
very
Brighton.
interesting game. I remember I was on a train while I was watching that game, and I I have to be truthful. I think Spurs played better than I expected them to play.
They played
I
really
th-
well.
yeah, I think they played better than I expected them to. But was I shocked with the result? No, because like I've said, even before the Zerbi came in, when he was appointed, I said that there's one thing that this sports team struggle with is their defense is not really that good. They still let in goals, and then you also have a manager who's not really able to coach those strong defensive side, which I feel is something you need in in a relegation battle. The less goals you concede, the much better you have in terms of your chances of getting a point or even winning a game. And that game exactly shows you that. If you look at the second goal that was considered, why is Danso literally trying to trap or control that ball in his box at the dying, what, 84th, 85th minute? You had about 5 minutes to go, if I'm correct. And a ball is coming into you, you clear those balls out. There's no other thing you have to think about it. You already set up in a defensive shape. They kept coming and coming at you, but you get a ball and then you try to control it in the box. And boom. Once that ball went in, I knew that, yeah, that was how that game was going to end. Spurs were not going to be able to go ahead. Xavi Simons was definitely struggling with hamstring throughout that game. So you could see he was one of the spark of the team very much in that game. But I think they give sports fans something to look forward to in terms of the rest of the season, in terms of the games. But again, these are the games you really want to win because previously I was saying even draws would help Spurs. But when you look at the results of the likes of Forest and Leeds, they've actually been picking up 3 points in their last 2 to 3 games, which means it's almost between West Ham and Spurs if you
Spurs.
look at it now. So now you yourself need a win and stuff like that. So your home games are going to be very much important to you. And that was one game I think they let slip, especially when the 3 points had looked like it was assured. So we wait on and see how, or see what happens with Wolves. I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't think it's going to be the results that they expect themselves to get. So, well, we'll wait and see. Looking forward to it again. This another game I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, Forest have done really well for themselves. I just went back
Yeah.
to match day 25, and they were 17th,
Yeah.
right? Just 3 points above West Ham. And since then, it's almost like they've taken themselves out of that
With Europe,
race. I mean, they're still in Europe. They're
still
in
in
the
Europe.
semifinals of the Europa Cup, which
Yeah.
is really incredible that, they're really pushing through, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, it's looking really
West Ham gave Spurs a little bit of a lifeline with the game against Crystal Palace that they went to go draw.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Actually, that's correct because it could
yeah,
have been, they could have been, they could have opened up a 3 point gap at that point.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's looking more and more likely that Spurs goes down, right? Because there's just not enough games now, and they're going to have to put on a near perfect end of the
Run.
season to
Yeah,
accomplish that. So they can very well do it. I thought they played really well against Brighton for large parts of the game.
yeah,
Um, you could see that there was a new manager bounce, if you want to call it that. They had a little bit more structural discipline to them. Obviously, that lapse in concentration there at the end cost them, but now the games are going to get tougher, right? Because now there's a lot more riding on them. So
oh wow, it's even 2 points. I thought it was 1 point between them and West Ham.
yes, 2 points. It could have been three if West Ham.
So
Yeah,
even a draw this weekend is
the
not
draw
good.
doesn't help them. Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
beat
yeah.
Wolves. Actually, I think they beat Wolves.
I don't
Uh,
think so.
yeah, I mean we'll get to that in the weekend review, but um, the other interesting team this week, Chelsea has the limelight for us because they
My
have now
faves
lost. Is it 5 league games
in a
on
row.
the bounce?
I
That
don't
is
even think they scored
crazy.
in any of them, did they?
Without scoring a goal. Yeah, without
Yeah.
scoring a goal. They played 2 games since the last time we were here. Shout out to Maestro. Maestro essentially guaranteed that, they were gonna get the 3 points at the Blue Emirates, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Eh, You know, they no goals against United. Maybe we'll take the 2 games together because they
Yeah.
followed that up. They followed that up with a 3-0 trashing away to Brighton. Brighton, I watched the first half of that game,
Yeah.
and it did not look like they could even get anywhere close to
Anywhere close.
Brighton. They
Yeah.
couldn't get anywhere close to Brighton, right? So a lot has happened since then. They've
Yeah.
lost a manager. Chelsea has fired Liam Rosenior after what is it, 2 months, 3 months in charge.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's worth talking about because you and I have been really consistent about that project. But
Yeah.
where do you think things really started to go wrong for them?
In terms of since they hired Liam,
Yes.
I think Liam was always set up to fail because when they sacked Maresca, remember we talked about it. I said I felt that was a wrong move, but it was even a worse move when you see the manager they decided to go bring in. Like I said, I think he was set up to fail. He was never going to succeed in this present Chelsea and how things have been set up. But also, when you look at him as a manager, let's isolate just him himself. There was nothing he ever did to give me a sign and say this guy can do something because you always have to compare him to his predecessor, right? Because if you're sacking someone and you're bringing this guy, you're telling me that this guy will do you a better job than the last guy you just fired, or that is your expectation. And it wasn't. I remember one of their first Premier League games against Brentford. They won, I think it was 2 or 3-0. I remember speaking with one of our Chelsea fans and I said, you stole this game. Like literally Brentford were the way better team. And when you looked at all their results, every time they played like the lesser teams, yes, they might be able to find a result here and there, but I still wasn't impressed. The only game they ever played that I was a bit impressed with was away at Villa when they won 4-1. When you looked at all the big teams that they played, they lost each and every one. I don't ever think they drew anyone on the layer. So am I surprised at the firing? Yes and no. Yes, in the situation that, because I said, I don't think he's going to be here January 1st, 2027. I felt they will give him time into next season and they will see how that goes. But when you look at Champions League, almost seems impossible for them. But again, stranger things have happened. And the situation in how they've been losing these games, and you go to play Leeds, who have been in very good form in the semi-final of the FA Cup, I think a decision had to be made. And it was made. But Chelsea have found themselves in a it's a very weird position because it's like, where do you go from here? We've had some of our Chelsea friends tell us, oh, it's the board, it's the sporting directors and stuff like that. And why I can't agree with those narratives is because none of this was said prior to the season, right? You had your transfers, you won your Club World Cup and everything, and a lot of you had the expectations of challenging, right? For those of you that didn't even have the expectations of challenging, we had top three, top four was basically guaranteed. Even as of January this year, a lot of us were still saying Chelsea will make the top four, will still make the Champions League, and that is not the case.
Not me.
Yeah, but that is not the case. And again, I think that's an indictment of how poorly managed Chelsea have been. I think that's where you put in the director, but you also have to look at what they've been doing on the pitch, right? Maresca is leaving because of the disagreement he had with decision makers at this club. Pochettino left because of the same reason. Tuchel left because of the same reason. And then you sack a good manager like Maresca who was doing everything you can, and you go to Leah. On what basis was that? So we'll see. I think they gave what was his name? The last guy who played against City. They've given him
Ted
the job
Lasso.
to the end. Yeah, they've given him the job to the end of the season. What that's gonna do, I don't know. But again, we're here to observe, We're here to observe. So but in terms
See,
of just going back to the game, sorry, just going back to the games, I think against Manchester United, I think they played a little bit well actually. Against Manchester United, I think they played well. I was expecting them to grow off that performance going into Brighton. But when you watch the Brighton performance, it's just like, are these guys even playing for this manager? At the same time, you can see the manager has been throwing some of these players under the bus. I actually feel that's why he was fired, because of the little bit of the back and forth he's beginning to have with trained players under the bus. And I think they can also see too that a lot of these players are not playing for him, or maybe they don't have the same respect for him and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's that. I mean, I'm not in those conversations. I know they're a subsidiary club for us, but I'm not involved there to be able to speak, you know, confidently about what's going on. But absolutely nothing that's happening at Chelsea surprises me.
Yeah,
Since December, even while Maresca was there, I said
was
these
that?
guys are not going to make top four.
Yeah,
And you could see the rot. I respect Maresca as a manager. I think he's really good. I think he's going to bounce back and land a much better job than Chelsea. Hint, hint,
yeah,
Manchester City. But I think the rot was already starting to show itself that there is not a clear strategy in this club,
in this
and the
club, yeah.
alignment was lacking. So that's why I didn't. This was before they even brought in Liam. The moment they brought in Liam, I was even
And
more
there was
sure.
more sure. Yeah.
There was no doubt in my mind that they were not going to make it because
Mm,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't watch a lot of French league, so I've never actually heard that name before he came up in Chelsea. So I wasn't familiar with what he had done at
mm,
Strasbourg or anything like that. And when you let go of a manager like Maresca, you better be bringing somebody that raises the stakes even more than Maresca had done, and they didn't do that. And you combine that with the fact that this guy comes in, and for me, I'm not even as an up. I'm not watching this guy like, man, they're about to do some stuff here, right? It just seems very like a joke. Like it seems like a project that was just hurriedly put together, and now we're seeing it all play out in front of us, right? Like where it's not working, and they gotta let him go. So I just think the reality dawned on Chelsea. I don't think it had anything to do with like losing players or anything. You bring in a guy when you are. I mean, all of us know where they were when Maresca left, and then you look at how far back they are now, right? You've gone through 5 games, and that's just 5 games in the league. We're not even counting the Champions League as well,
Champions
right? So
League.
it's
Yeah.
multiple defeats in the span of, what is it, 2 months? So nothing is inspiring confidence that you're moving in the right direction. And then you have players dropping and you have all these things happening at the same time. You put
Mm.
that together, it makes for
It
like
was just
trouble.
chaotic. It's funny you
Yeah.
said that because even when you brought up the thing about bringing him from Strasbourg, if we're being honest, he wasn't doing anything extraordinary in Strasbourg. He wasn't. When he left Strasbourg, if I remember, he was like seventh or eighth in the French league.
Okay.
He wasn't doing anything extraordinary for them to give him the job. And I remember, if you remember, before he was sacked, when we hearing the rumors, I said, I would not be shocked if Chelsea go bring in Leah. it was just so obvious because of who these owners and the people who are running this club. I remember when they took over Chelsea, and some of us were telling them, like, man, you guys have no idea what you've signed up for, man. When you go from an owner's model of that of Roman Abramovich, and you're going for an American type of ownership, it is so different. Like, their focus is so different. But a lot of those fans just felt like the usual, either it's banter or people just hating and stuff like that. So, like you said, whatever is happening to Chelsea right now, am I surprised? No, not at all.
I have zero empathy for the fans. I must say that because when I when I hear the excuse about the board, I think it's lazy. I think it's
Yeah.
very, very lazy
Mm-hmm.
because some of these same fans, and we know them, we
Mm.
know you guys, right? Um, they were, we kept hearing that there was a strategy because we're seeing things that we hadn't seen before. You're buying
Yeah.
all these no-name brand players, really, right, from all over the world. You're giving them 6, 7 year contracts, 8 year contracts, whatever the case might be, and we're wondering what's going on. You spend €2 billion or £2 billion, whatever the numbers are,
Even this
and it
manager, they
doesn't.
give him a 6 year contract and he's out in 3 months.
Exactly, right? So, and these same fans were telling us that they've delivered on the Conference League and they delivered on
Mm.
the World Cup, whatever it's called now. And this was just a few months ago,
Mm.
right? Just a few months ago. So the board cannot change themselves in just a few months. So whatever the board did to deliver success that was obviously okay enough for some of the fans to be bullish on by August, then of course you must accept the consequences of what that same board has done that has led you to where we are now in April.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't feel any kind of empathy. And what's interesting to me is we have one of our friends who says that the turning point was when Sanchez was benched for the PSG game. I actually honestly thought that it was just taking a piss. But
Mm-hmm.
then there is a big Chelsea fan who's like a tech bro who is big on the Twitter space that I follow, right? And today I turn on my Twitter and I've seen that as a turning point. It's like, okay, wait, is this like some group message thing that
Yeah.
they're sharing around? Because I don't get it. Like, I don't know if you get why somebody would say that, the Sanchez thing was such a seismic moment.
Yeah, again, that was just another low hanging fruit I think they were trying to clutch onto, because how do you come out and say the turning point was when Sanchez was dropped? At the beginning of this season, Sanchez had improved his performances. But let's not act like this same Sanchez hasn't cost this same Chelsea a lot of games, right? If you're looking at it and you say Sanchez was dropped for what, 2 games? One game against Aston Villa, in which they won 4-1. Nobody complained about
And
Sanchez being dropped. And the following game, they played PSG, where they lost, was it 5-2? And then everyone said, why did you drop your goalkeeper? The very next game, if I remember, was against Newcastle. Sanchez was back in net and they lost. And then he went to PSG, or sorry, PSG came to their house and they lost. This same Sanchez has been in goal since that PSG game till today. And the only game you've won was the 7-0 against Port Vale. I'm not sure, but I'm sure if I go check that Port Vale game, I don't think Sanchez was the one that was in post for that game. So if you look at the other losses, it's the same Sanchez that was there. So how are you going to use him being dropped for basically one game, but based on numbers, dropped for 2 games in 2 different competitions? As the moment you see everything changed. How? You already lost games before that moment. You've lost so many games after that moment with this same Sanchez in the goal and everything. And like I said, let's not act like Sanchez hasn't caused or done some errors for this same Chelsea team. So I think, again, like I
right.
said, low hanging fruit makes no sense. I don't understand how Sanchez was 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 the last straw that broke the camel's back. Makes no
Yeah,
sense to
that's the
me.
one I can't seem to understand. Is like
Yeah,
Sanchez.
Sanchez, come on now,
Sanchez.
like,
There's
bro.
a lot of things you could pick out, but Sanchez, like,
Like, look
you
at this
know,
game against Brighton. I was watching the game against Brighton and I said, yo, you paid about 20 something million for Brighton's best goalkeeper. Who is your number one? You paid about 50 something million for Brighton's best defender at that time, which was Cucurella, who is your starting
Cucurella.
left back. You paid 100 and what, 15 for Caicedo, who was their
Mm.
best midfielder, who is now your starting midfielder. Then you paid
Oof.
close to another 50 million for João Pedro, their best striker. But unfortunately, he didn't play that game. But when you look at those teams on that pitch, who looked like they spent 200 million buying the best player from the other team?
Man, Brighton, at least in the I only like I said, I only saw the first half. They outclassed Chelsea
Oh,
in what I
first
saw.
half and second half, they played,
Did
they
not seem
just, yeah,
close at all.
it didn't
So
seem close at all. So,
yeah.
yeah, because everybody
I
comes out and say, oh, you have this expectation of spending so much money and you have to deliver stuff. Okay, how much money has Chelsea spent and what have they delivered? You can't be spending all
yeah,
this money and still be finding yourself in eighth as of today, but you come out and say you have not delivered anything. Because if you have delivered something, you guys will not be feeling the way you're feeling. You will not be
right.
unhappy where you find yourself right now. You can't say you spent all this money and you're still figuring out if you're going to make it into the Conference League next season, not even the Champions League. Miss out on the Champions League this season and see how it affects you next season. So,
They are definitely missing out on the Champions League.
oh
You can
yeah, the
take that.
champion.
You
I think
can
the
take that
Champions
one to
League
the
is
bank.
is quite gone.
Their best hope is that
Villa
Aston Villa
wins Europa
wins
League.
the Europa and falls into fifth or something like that. But they're not going to win the champion. They're not going to get into the Champions League on merit of the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the best decision that they've made in the last few years is letting go of Liam and accepting that that was not a great decision. Because now it allows them to participate in the manager
The
sweepstakes
manager sweepstakes. Yeah.
that I've been talking about, right? Because if you hold on to that guy longer, like I've said, the cost of keeping a manager that you don't like right now going into this summer, it can be really, really
It's just going to
expensive because the
extend
good
extend your
managers
run.
might exactly. So
Yeah.
you have to give them credit, right? They've made a series of maybe not so great decisions, but maybe they are also looking ahead and trying to prepare. So um credit to them, I guess, for getting that part right. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of Chelsea. Um, and speaking of manager roulette and manager sweepstakes, one guy that you and I have said will be very surprised if he's still there at the start of next season is Arne Slot of Liverpool. And it looks like he's gotten the vote of confidence from the board, really,
Remember,
to
I
stick
asked you this
around.
question some weeks ago when I said, I just
Yeah.
have this
Uh-huh.
feeling that this guy remains there again next season. On
I
what
mean,
basis, I don't know where that decision is coming from, but it's an interesting decision.
first of all, we have to see, right? Like it's just reports at this time, and anything can still happen. Like even
Yeah.
we just spoke at length about Liam, and even Liam seemed like he was getting the board approval just a few weeks ago. So I wouldn't take any of these things
True.
seriously
True.
until this
Yeah.
time, because I think it's easy to say that now in the Liverpool camp because it does look like they're trending towards the Champions League position. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot can change between now and the end of the season
Between that and the
again,
season,
with
yeah.
5 games to go. You could easily find yourself completely out of the Champions League positions, right?
Yeah.
And then I really want to see if you still keep the manager after that, right? So,
But if they decide to keep him, what would you think that
yeah,
would be based off?
getting
What?
into the Champions League, right? And I think it would be an admittance that, okay, well, maybe this project thing that we've been hearing, maybe there's some validity to it from the Liverpool side that they think, if we could just give the Verret and Isak has been injured for the most part. Give Isak, Verret, and all these new signings that we spent almost £500 million on last summer.
Mm.
If we give them a chance to, with another year under their belts, maybe they have better results. So I think that's what it is, or that's the only thing I could think about, right? Where you're saying you were derailed by injuries, you were derailed by players not being available due to all sorts of conditions beyond your control, and then you think that a manager that's just won you the title a year ago deserves a fair shot at it the third time around. So
Yeah,
if that's the
that's the part.
argument, I can't
Yeah,
really
that's
push
the
back
part
on
I
that.
think they're holding on to because he won the league. But the other part I then ask myself is we've been made to believe that Xabi Alonso is that manager they've always wanted. And even when they tried to sign him, he wasn't available because of his commitments to Bayer Leverkusen. But now we
Right.
know that he's available. And it's like, hmm, if this is a guy you've always wanted, why don't you do everything you can now to get him when he's available?
Yeah, I mean, my stance is clear. I don't think he should be kept available. But the question you ask me is, what would be the reason that he stays? And I
He
think that's the
stays,
only
yeah.
reason I can give
Fair.
you where it's,
That's the
you
same way I
know,
look at it, like based on what
yeah,
he has done, yes. And again,
yeah.
I think people also need to realize that the pool of managers is a very funny topic because the pool of managers is going to be, yes, there's a lot of them that are going to be available this off season, but how many of them are the ones these clubs are willing to take, right? Like, let's look at Chelsea, for example. We've seen a few names thrown out already. We're talking about the Areolas. I think I heard this guy from Fulham is in the works as well. Silva, I think that's his name now. Silva.
Marco Silva,
And
yeah.
yeah, Marco Silva and stuff like that. And at the same time, you have the likes of Manchester United, who potentially as well might be in the managerial market. So I think that one also there's a possibility of that as well playing a part of based on the devil I know this is better than the one I don't know or the one that looks like my might change things. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
I, I don't have a problem with you keeping your manager. I just think
Mhm.
that you have to be convicted that that is the manager that you
That's the
want,
manager
right?
that I
And as
want.
long as
Yeah,
that's what you're
that was why
doing,
I asked about Alonso.
by all means, right? But if
Yeah.
it's a case of you're kind of playing the field, right, and looking outside to see what's out there, then you might as well move like a big club and go get the guy that you really want, especially with Slot being on the final year of his contract. Like I think
Mm.
it's signed a 3-year contract. This is year
I thought
three,
he
so
got
it's
an
not.
extension in his first season.
No, I don't think they've given him an extension.
Oh,
I think
really?
his contract
I
is,
thought they
yeah,
did.
yeah. Well, let's see. But yeah, I think if the contract is coming to an end, then you move and get what you want. You know, uh, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
This is last year, 2027.
See, yeah, it expires. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I think as long as you're not, if that's not your guy, it can get really expensive because other
Hmm.
teams would have taken the guys that they really want off the table.
Yeah.
But before we move on from, or I guess sticking with manager roulette, we've seen one of the first dominoes to fall, which is Iraola at Bournemouth. It has been announced that he's going to be stepping down from, Bournemouth, or they will not be he will not be renewing his contract. Either way, it means that they're parting with. In fact, they've moved very quickly and announced a replacement already.
Mhm.
Where do you think Iraola lands in the offseason, and how do you think that impacts some of these clubs that are looking for managers as well?
Oh, to be honest, I was before the whole Chelsea sacking, I had this strong feeling that he will be going outside England because I had
Well, why?
I had a few teams outside England are interested in him. In the likes of like Spain, and I think was it Italy or something? I think I heard Italy
Mm.
as well. The likes of Juventus as well could be interested in him. I'm trying to remember the name in Spain, but there was a team in Spain that was of interest because if you look at England, you're only looking at what Manchester United, Chelsea. I don't know if
Oh,
Liverpool
you
would
mean in
be
terms of a step
interested.
up?
Yeah, but then
Okay,
again, even him having that step up is scary.
that's a
It's
big
scary.
jump.
It's a big step up because the pressure in the Manchester United, the Chelsea's are very different. It's one thing to coach a Bournemouth where there's really no expectations. They just need you to stay afloat, whatever cup run you get, there's no one that's going to come out and say, oh, you haven't done well because you left out in the first round, second round, third round of FA or Carabao Cup final, right? So a lot of the times I'm scared for those managers when they make their big jump. If it was going to like an Everton or something, I will understand it. We saw the way even Thomas Frank, who moved to Spurs, we saw the pressure was different, even from Brentford, right? Especially after winning the Europa League. So I had a feeling he was going to go outside, but now I'm hearing his name is being linked to Chelsea, which when Chelsea made the announcement yesterday, I was like, I can see them going for an Areola type of manager, right? So the pressure is the only thing I don't know if it works for managers like him, but I really would like to see him staying in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm not as worried for Iraola because of the way he plays and the way he sets his team up to play. I think wherever he lands, I think he's going to get his system across. Now, you're right. There'll be maybe pressure to certain clubs come with innate pressure that you
Because
must
now
win
there's
something.
Europe included in some of these teams, playing
Right,
every
right,
two
right.
to three games, every 2 to
Yeah, but
3
then you
days,
would expect that he's going
managing
to
a
a
bigger
team.
squad and
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
I think one club that we rule out in these conversations is Newcastle, right? I don't know where they are with.
Oh,
So that is like the
that's a good
tier
shout.
one
That I
B,
would,
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually a good shout.
yeah.
Yeah,
Big enough club in terms of
yeah,
pedigree, but not maybe not the same level of
and they'll
expectation
give
as
him
you might
time
have.
too. Yeah,
Exactly. So
actually, that's a
um,
very good shout. I never thought
we'll
about
see.
that.
We'll see how things pan out there because Eddie Howe is on the hot seat for sure.
I think they need to let that guy go, and it has nothing to do with his coaching or anything. I think they just need something a little bit different now.
They need to freshen things up a little
Yeah, I think they
bit.
need to freshen things up there. Yeah.
Okay, let's jump ahead to this weekend's round of games. I know there's a FA Cup for certain teams, but for the rest of us not involved, we still have games to play and games to be won. So, let's start with the relegation one tomorrow. Tomorrow we're kicking things off with Sunderland Forest. That could really turn this whole thing on
Who's
its
at
head.
home?
Sunderland's at home. Stadium that stadium is crazy.
Very crazy stadium. Yeah.
I don't know how Forest gets anything out of that
I'll
one.
go with a draw for that one. But
Yeah.
that's what this manager does, man. That's what he does.
Which
I think
which one of them?
the Forest
Forest?
manager, when it comes to this relegation, that's why I say you need relegation experts. So I'll put a draw for that one because they play on Friday and their next game is going to be the following week in the Europa League. So he gets almost a week rest.
Mm.
So I can see him getting a draw. I think I'll put a draw for that one.
Uh, two more games of interest here. Wolves versus Spurs. Wolves are at
Mm.
home. I know you started talking about this at the top of the show, but um, you think that Spurs don't get a win here?
Yeah, because my reason is just for the fact that Spurs haven't been good against Wolves for a very, very long time. Every time they play Wolves, they just don't seem to find a way to get it over the line. But it'll be interesting to see what Wolves shows up because now they've been confirmed as relegated. So what kind of Wolves is going to show up? I still think the manager is going to have them playing. And I think there's another game I might just call a draw as well.
I'm not the biggest
But
fan.
it smells like Spurs can win this game.
Yeah, I have to call it like
I think I'll go with it. I think I'll go with a draw just because it's Wolves.
I'll call it like I see it. To be honest, I think this is going to be Spurs' first win of the year in the
They
Premier
need
League,
one.
which is crazy. They do need one, and so I'm giving you my reason as to why I'm thinking
Yeah.
why to win, and also more so why they have to win. This, I think, is going to be the easiest game that they have in the running. So if you cannot get a win away at Wolves in this game, you don't deserve
Because
to be.
they'll have what left?
This
Chelsea,
is what's coming up
Leeds,
after. This is what's
Aston
coming up
Villa.
after. Right after Wolves, they're going away to Villa. They're at home to Leeds. They're away to Chelsea. And then
Chelsea.
they end the season at home against
So
Everton.
that game at home against Everton, they will win that game.
Yeah, but it might be too
Spurs will
late.
win that game.
It's kind of the point.
That is why they will win that game because
It
it
might be too late.
late.
It might be too late. So
That's why they will win that game.
I think you
But
have
they
to
need to
win
win
this
this
game with
one.
Wolves.
They need to
Yes, you
win
have to win this
Wolves.
one.
Yeah. A
So
draw is
I'm
not good.
going
They need
to
to win this.
because it's Wolves, I can never actually back on Wolves. I think they beat Wolves. They're the worst team in the league, and I think
Mm.
Spurs need to feel like they can get something out of this game, and they probably will. So I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna predict a Spurs win. It's probably the first time I'm doing that, to be honest. But on Saturday, big game for us. We're playing at home to Newcastle. Sounds like nothing else
I'm
other
looking
than a
forward to
win would
this
do.
game, which is funny, man. I'm looking forward to
Really,
this
what
game.
about it are you
Yeah,
looking I mean, I'm looking forward to it because it's the next Arsenal game, but what
the
about
reason I'm
you?
looking forward to it is because now, like we said, is a straight shootout now. It's in both our hands, right? So now all of you have to step up and take responsibility. There's no hiding, there's nothing. You have to go and do what you need to do between now and the end of the game. But I've always enjoyed the games against Newcastle. Be it at St. James Park, be it at the Emirates. I've always looked forward to that game. And I'm just excited to actually watch this game. I'm really excited for this one. No lies.
I'm sorry to call it my brother, but that is cap, right? In the
How?
sense that I think we're going to win, and
Oh, of
as a matter of
course.
fact, we have to win. But
Yeah.
I don't buy into. It's the same thing I felt about Bournemouth. We talked about it
Mm.
here. I don't buy into certain games are they carry whatever. You're in the running, right? So six. The game before it was 6 games. The game
Mm-hmm.
before that was 7 games. I don't know that 7 games, 6 games, 5 games. You feel any different about okay now it's a shootout. It should have felt like a shootout the last game
Yeah,
and the game before that.
yeah, it should have felt
So
like a
if it
shootout, but
didn't feel like that, I don't think there's a switch you turn on and say, okay, now we're here. You have to carry this last few games, like going into the last 10 games of the season. In my mind, they all feel the same, right? Every game
yeah,
is a must win.
they feel the same. But then again, you also have to look at the narratives going into the game, right? Like 1 point, you were 6 points,
Yeah, but
9 points.
those
Now you're at
narratives
three
only
points.
came across because of something that you didn't do.
Exactly. That's part
Yeah,
of
so
it.
we can't. I
It's part
can't
of it.
give
So
you a
now,
cop answer.
so it's not a cop out. It's not a cop out. You still have to take responsibilities of it regardless, because now you are on the same point. The cushion you had before, you don't have the cushion anymore.
Right.
There's no being lazy. There's no being comfortable. Like I said, against Bournemouth, I felt we were a little bit comfortable thinking we're just going to get this game and all. You don't have any of that. There's nothing for you to hide under anymore. So that's why I say I'm looking forward to that game in that aspect, because the narrative and everything has changed. It's both in our hands. Some people are talking about goal differences. Some people are, nah, you go out, you go do a job now. You have to go win. And also the other part I was actually looking forward to, I want to see what the Emirates is going to be like. I don't know why. I just want to see what the Emirates is going to be like for this particular game, especially with what I saw after the game at the Etihad when they lost, and I saw the fans actually like clapping them out and everything. And we've seen how we've heard a few boos, especially at the Emirates and stuff like that. Again, the reason I want to see what the crowd is going to feel like is just has to do with the narrative, because here we are, tied points, same amount of games and everything. So, do I think we win? 1,000%, I think we win. And I'm just looking forward to this one, man, to be honest. But yeah, I give
My
us a win for
least
sure.
concern, my least concern is
Mhm.
what the fans are going to do at the Emirates. I expect the fans to be fans. No, I'm telling you the truth. I
Uh,
expect the fans to be fans. It's the last game on Saturday, so it's a Saturday night out. You and I have
Saturday
been
night
there.
out,
We know
yeah.
what it feels like.
Mm.
I think the fans are going to be there feeding off of whatever energy is
The
given
team
by the
gives to
team.
them. Yep.
And so that is why I said my least concern is the fans. The
Yeah, it's not a
team
concern.
has to show up. No, you say you want to see what the fans, what
Yeah,
kind of
but it's
team,
not
but
a concern for me. I'm just interested to see what it's
you
like.
can predict what the fans need to be because it depends on what the team provides. I think Arsenal fans, we've shown ourselves to be insufferable. We're going to be
Mm-hmm.
there. We're going to be there. If you give us something to cheer, we're going to cheer. If you give us something to be happy about, we're going to be happy about. And if clearly we've seen in the last few games as well, if things don't work out, some fans have expressed their disappointment, and they will, right? I've been watching a lot of interviews and people are actually very angry with like Mikel. A lot of people are calling for him to be gone. So you
Mm.
can kind of get a fair sense of what to expect as far as
Yeah.
the fans are concerned. All I'm asking for is that the team shows up on Saturday to do their job, and the fans will sort themselves out. And so, to that point, my last question for you as we move on from Arsenal is, what team do you expect to show up, like in terms of the personnel, and how we play on Saturday?
I mean, he hasn't done his press conference, but I don't even see what the press conference changed because even if any of the players that have been injured come back, it's not like I see them starting. We've had a week off, which I think this is even the first week off we've had this year.
Remember, I told you about this like a few episodes back when I was looking at the schedule. This is the
Yeah.
only week off that we've had
This is the only week off that we've
in
had, yeah,
in a long
from
time.
for a very long time. So I think I think he goes with what he played against City. I don't think there's really anything to change.
That's big, bro.
And the reason I say that is because of the performance and people, they seem to be a good performance. Would I go with the same exact starting lineup? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go with the same lineup. I would
What
drop
would you
Noni.
change?
I would drop Noni.
Oh, okay. But that's assuming you have.
I would
That's
drop
assuming you
Noni.
have. What you bringing in for Noni?
I will start Martinelli on the right for that one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll drop Noni for this. But then again, when you look at that left, it's like, who do you play on that left? You still play Eze because Eze played there. He still does his Zubimendi and Rice and stuff like that. So that's why I
I'm
would
sick and
drop.
tired of that Zubimendi and Rice combination. Let me just tell you the truth.
Yes, but we've asked.
I know,
Remember,
I
we
know.
kept asking like, there are some games you play your Eze and your. But then again, let's be truthful. Like Trossard has been poor the second half of the season.
Oh, I'm not talking about Trossard. I'm
No,
talking
no,
about
I
Eze
know. I'm
and
just talking about if you drop, let's say you drop Zubimendi, right? And you play your Rice, Eze, Odegaard. Who plays your left? Is either Martinelli or Trossard. And Trossard has
or
been
you're looking
really
at a
poor.
formation shift. I'm talking about a personnel change. Like uh,
In what
Norgard can
sense?
come in and play a role as well.
Oh, okay. I
Like,
get what you mean. Okay, okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. So I think he sticks with the same distance, but if there's anything I would change, if I had to change anything, is I would drop Noni. I wouldn't start with Noni.
That is crazy because in all of that, you did not mention Gyökeres once. And obviously, people are going to say, you signed this bags man. And now you're looking at back-to-back
Because
games where you're
because
saying,
because I'm sick and tired of it's like you're almost having to explain like the kind of striker he is or what he brings and everything, right? It's like I said, he's someone that will score you goals. But I was the same person that came out and said I wouldn't start him against City because of the kind of team that I knew we were going to play and because of what I knew that we needed, right? In terms of the physicality and trying to have the ball stick. And it's the same thing I'm looking at Newcastle. I don't know what their injury list is like, but Newcastle is another very physical team, right? So when we're playing out of the back, playing out of the pressure, I need someone who's going to be able to help that ball stick and help us with the likes of hopefully Odegaard, AZ that are in there. Our technical players help us attack better and bring Gyökeres off the bench. That is for me. It depends on the team, right? If we're playing a Burnley tomorrow, I'll tell you, yeah, we don't need a Kai. Let's start with a Gyökeres and everything, right? So for me, it's always game by game. It just depends on the team that we're playing. Yeah.
cool. Last game in the Premier League before we quickly run over to Champions League. So Manchester United hosting Brentford
Oh, Monday game.
Monday.
Yeah, that would be an interesting game. Who's at home?
United.
Oh, and they lost their last home game. They won Chelsea. So yeah, I think I'll give it a Man U win. But it's
How
Brentford.
much you?
Brentford have been drawing. No, I'll go for a draw, bro.
I'm good. I was going to say I'm
Yeah,
going
I'm
for
going for a
United. I'm
draw.
going for a draw.
Yeah,
It
I'm going
sounds
for a
like a
draw.
draw written all over it.
Yeah, sounds like a draw written over it. Yeah, I'll go for a draw.
Yeah,
Brentford.
and
Yeah, I'll go
I
for a
won't
draw.
say more than that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to Champions League because this week is actually Champions League. We do have a couple of games coming up. Arsenal, we are away to Atletico. So,
Mm.
what are you expecting? Two semifinals, Atletico, Arsenal.
I'll just tell us now, come back to the Emirates with a massive chance of winning that game. Going to the
Oof.
what's the name of their stadium? Metropolitano, whatever they
Oh,
call it.
really?
Atletico Madrid they don't lose a lot of games there in
They
Europe.
don't play a lot of Arsenal there, so
True. And I know their last few games as well. I think they've won only one or two games. So my prediction, I don't know why this game for that. I think I'll just go with a draw for that game. And I think we'll be able to seal it up at the Emirates. So I'll go a draw for that game.
I know I am wasting none of my dreams. So I'm dreaming of.
Yeah, I'll go for it. I
If
mean,
you're
I would
gonna
love, like I said, just bring it to the Emirates where we can seal it up, but I'll go for a draw at that
if you're
stadium.
gonna dream, dream big. So I'm going for
Yeah,
a big result. I'm going for a 3-1 win over there
that
at
would be,
Atletico.
man,
I am riding this
that would be
Dululu
lovely.
until the end
I
of the
would love
season.
that. 3-1
Yeah.
at that stadium, man, I would love that.
If
Yeah.
United fans can ask for Bruno as player of the year, Spurs fans can say that they're not getting relegated. I am going to showcase my Delulu from now to the end of the season.
Let's
We
all
can
take our
all
Dululu
be
drinks.
delusional. So 3-1 to Arsenal at Atletico Madrid. That's what I'm going for.
I think I'll go for like a 1-1
Come
kind
over
of
here.
draw.
It's 3-1, my guy. Come over
Like
here. It's 3-1.
like 1-1. Like 1-1. I think I just feel that's a game that at the Emirates will just get it over the line. Yeah. We'll get it over the line.
For the neutrals, though, I think the more exciting game, because you're not going to get excitement from us, I can tell you that part.
Yeah, that's the
And
haram
we're not
section.
trying to give you no excitement, okay? So if you're looking
Just go
for
to the next
excitement, you got
day.
to go to aisle 12, where PSG will be hosting Bayern Munich, two of the best teams in Europe right now, playing each other in the first leg of the semifinal. PSG is at home, so what are you expecting?
I'm going PSG. I'll go PSG for this one. Yeah.
I think PSG takes his tie. That's all I'm going to tell
I
you.
won't be shocked. Yeah, I think
Home and
I
away
can
to take
home
his
and
tie.
away. I can say that I don't know if I'll say home and away, but the tie I'll give it to PSG. First leg, I'm going PSG as well.
The
I
reason I
think
think
company gets a little bit of I don't know if to call it schooling or lesson, but I
okay,
think
that's where I was going. That's exactly where I
yeah,
was going.
I think company gets that for this game.
So I have a formula, as you are very well aware.
Yeah.
And the reason I think PSG take the tie is my formula tries to examine at a coaching level, is there an advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a player level, is there an advantage? You take all these things into consideration. Where does it net out plus or minus? I
Yeah.
think that Company is a hell of a coach, amazing coach. He has shown himself to be quite a tactician. But
Yeah.
Enrique, man,
Enrique is
Enrique is
different.
elite.
Yeah.
So I don't think there is I think there's a slight edge that I would give to Enrique,
Mm.
right? They've been there, they've done
Enrique.
that. He knows how to get it done, not for the first time or the second time, right? And
Yeah.
then you go over to the player side of things. Now I think that Kane is having a hell of a season.
Yeah.
Probably the favorite right now for Ballon d'Or, in my own opinion, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how things shake up. Olise as well. Olise is having tremendous season. Diaz is having a tremendous season. But for all of those guys, you can call some bad man on the other side too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
PSG probably have the most stacked wide forwards in the league, in the world, right? And then you have Vitinha, who I think is just, in my mind, the best midfielder out there right now. Yeah, I don't know. I think, and then they have two of the best fullbacks
Fullbacks.
who
Yeah.
are
I,
basically auxiliary attackers.
yeah.
So
It's hard for me to argue against anything you said. Like I've been a big fan of Luis Enrique from when he was in Barcelona. I remember even when I remember when Wenger was announced that he was leaving. The top two managers I remember I wanted at that time were Enrique and Allegri. And then we brought in Unai
where's Allegri
Emery.
these days anyway?
He's in Milan. I remember those were the two guys I wanted at that time. Then when he was in Spain before we hired Mikel Arteta, I was like, please just get me this Enrique guy. Like he's just been a manager I've always been a fan of. And every time I watch his team, that is one guy that I said, any team he's coached, I've enjoyed how they play because that was
Right.
one guy that his system works and players fit into his system, right? When he came to PSG and you see the decisions he was making and the players he was bringing in, from the outside, you look at it like, bro, what are you trying to do with Vitinha? People forget Vitinha was in Wolves. Like
I think I got
Vitinha,
rid of Donnarumma.
yeah, got rid of Donnarumma. You're bringing the Doué. I remember Doué. Even when before PSG signed Doué, Arsenal were linked with Doué, and he takes him to PSG. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele. It's like you're just bringing all these. Yes, they are
Stacked.
very technical
Stacked.
players, but when you see them on the pitch, you know, like man,
Everything
that
just
guy,
fits.
it just fits. Like that
Everything
guy
fits.
is one of my favorite managers out there. And I think we are going to see him give company a little, like I watch both teams. I watch Bayern Munich, I watch PSG, and we all know what Bayern Munich has always been like, even before company came into them. And company is there. He's continued the same thing. But brother, against this PSG team, we will be there. I think they take this time. I think they take this first league.
I think so too, but as you were speaking, I thought it was very important for me to put out this PSA because some smart ass somewhere is going to clip what I said about my rules and formulas regarding hedges of managers. And I do believe that PSG and Arteta, Arsenal are on a collision course. I do not care if you bring that formula up. I'm going to stick with my Dululu all the way if and when that time comes up. That is my PSA, and I just wanted to put that one out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm American,
Yeah.
and that's a fact.
That's a fact. Yeah, PSG, man. Yeah, it's hard for me to always bet against that guy, Enrique. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Such a fan.
All right, man. I think we've come to the end of today's episode. I think we covered everything we had on our agenda. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to discuss that we haven't.
No, I think
But I
that's
think we
about
did.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
we did.
we've discovered. So we're definitely
So the
back here
playoffs are
again.
on right now. You know, this is where I do
Man.
my best LeBron impression. I pass you the rock. You know what I'm saying?
I
So you
haven't
can
I
knock
haven't
down the
even
three.
seen one game, but man, for my
Oh, I
guy
watched
Corey,
that.
why
Watched
not?
them.
I'm gonna do it for my guy Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pass you the rock, man. Bring us home. Bring us home.
shout out to the listeners, subscribers, and everything. Please, we enjoy and we value you guys' support. Hope you guys enjoy doing listening to what we bring to you guys on a weekly basis. And like I've always said, we keep looking forward to doing more things and more trying out more content out there. So see you guys same place next week. Peace
From way downtown. I
from
love
way
it.
downtown.
I love it. All right, man. That's it right there, man. Have a good
My
weekend,
dog.
and
Have a
I'm
good
sure we'll chat
weekend.
on Sunday.
We'll chat for sure. Yeah.
All right.